No, it looks okay. That's better.
Okay, so I'm gonna record video but not audio. Is that okay?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Alright, cool. Maybe we should introduce ourselves quick. So I'm Jessica Sattell. I'm a journalist and an editor based in Chicago. And I write mostly for F News Magazine at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, where I'm also a graduate student. But I also actually just started a new job in data analytics. So I'm really interested in art and technology studies, and especially in technology. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about cybertwee and what you're up to. My cat also might interrupt us. Her name is Pi, just FYI.
Okay. And then who wants to go next?
You go.
Okay. My name is Gabriella. I am a new media artist working in Chicago, Illinois, and right now my practice kind of centers around the body in cyberspace mostly, and identity expression through social media. So yeah, that's me.
I'm May, and I'm in school in Beloit, Wisconsin right now. But I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and yeah, sort of similarly, I'm interested in technology and the internet's sort of evolving role in our identity construction and relationships with each other. So my art sort of centers around that. And my name is Violet. I am a first-year grad student at School of the Art Institute of Chicago in the Art and Technology Studies, and my work right now deals mainly with browser-based work and everything in between art and technology studies, which is very broad. Awesome. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to learn more about how you three came together, and how you started to collaborate with each other on cybertwee.
Well, basically, I had written my thesis on exploring sort of the void where there weren't really a lot of women working in like with cyberpunk fiction or science fiction. Like I had a lot of trouble finding very many female authors or feminine authors working in that genre. So I was I kind of wanted to look closer at the role women play in those kinds of fictions, and also the construction of identity online through text or avatars. And so I started a Facebook group called cybertwee that really wanted to sort of zero in on how femininity is expressed in online spaces or in that kind of genre. So I started the group, and Violet and May I had met on Facebook, and we were all kind of talking, and Violet and I decided to meet up with May when she was visiting from Wisconsin, and Violet had the idea that we should write a manifesto, and so we all got together and sort of had like a slumber party almost, and we, drank like fluffy wine and had like cookies and M&Ms and things like that, and we set the typewriter out in the middle of the floor and sort of started, just talking about our ideas and how we felt about a lot of these different issues.
And oh, sorry, go ahead, Violet. A big thing about the Facebook thing is that a lot of my friendships, and I'm sure a lot of Gabriella and May's friendships, have been initiated on Facebook. I think I meet more people on Facebook than I do in real life. And I guess the Facebook group kind of explores that. There's a lot of people in there who take pride in meeting each other on Facebook. And how did I meet Gabriella? I think I just messaged her. And, going through someone's profile and looking at their profile pictures is a huge way that you kind of decide if you want to message someone or, like, what they're posting. And then how did I meet May? How did I meet you, May?
I don't remember who messaged who, but I started talking to you in, like, September, probably.
I think you messaged me. You said, "Oh, I really like your work."
Oh, yeah. I think I went to your website. I found your photography. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. I've been known to do that. Message people like, "Hey, I like what you're doing."
Yeah, I remember.
What
was that?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I remember the first thing I told Violet was that she looked like Lane from Serial Experiments Lane, like on one of her like pictures, and she was like, "What's that?" No, yeah, I don't know. Just cute.
I was gonna ask, what is it about Facebook that makes it easier for you to reach out to people compared to other platforms like Twitter or Tumblr or even Instagram, I guess?
I always think about how it's the sort of mutual friendship thing, where, like, instead of you just following someone, you're actually, like, entering into a sort of, like, mutual visibility. Like, you see what they're doing and they also see what you're doing. And yeah, I think that, like, the ease of messaging people or having, like, group messages is a big thing too. And to me, Facebook feels more like a community than others, like Instagram or something.
Yeah, I get the sense that it's a really strong arts community, and also probably the groups feature is one of my favorite things about Facebook, as well as the events feature. I think those two things are what are severely lacking in a lot of other social media sites that sort of try to compete with Facebook. Because for me, it's like whenever I want to go out on a Friday night, like the first thing I do is I'll check the event section of Facebook. And then the group section it's a really great way for artists to share their work with one another, or also just sort of like share jokes and kind of be in on something larger, or it makes you feel like you're part of a community.
And adding on the idea of meeting people on social media as opposed to meeting real people in life, I think that, I basically grew up online, and I think a lot of us did. I grew up not talking to people face to face. I always talked to people online. And it's funny that on Facebook, when you're adding someone and they have the same mutual friends as you, but you guys, all of those mutual friends have never really met in person, because it's like an online community where you have like 50 mutual friends, but they all live somewhere else in the world and you've never even met them. There's like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you all have similar interests, or you're all interested in similar aesthetics or similar ideas, or yeah. Definitely there's almost sort of, it seems like there's cliques that form in a way on Facebook or something.
Virtual cliques.
Which is interesting. That it reflects sort of like, I don't know, I hesitate to say real life because I think that the internet is directly, it's just a direct reflection of things that happen in the real world. And it's, has a lot of real implications, and there's real physical, servers that hold all of this information and stuff. Like, it's not just like a floating ether out there, but yeah, I don't know.
I like how the cloud computing is really an illusion.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah.
Can you guys kind of break down the definition of cybertwee a little bit more? Like, on Twitter, so when you were starting out early on, you were talking about how, cyber relates to the internet, and twee can mean just something so sweet to the point of being kind of, not sickening, but like uncomfortable, maybe. I mean, I'm getting it wrong, but I'd like to hear you guys define it in your own words.
I'd like Gabriella to pick this one up.
Okay. Yeah, so twee was a DIY music movement in the late '80s and early '90s. It was like pop music, which was sort of a response to the punk youth movement, um, where there were, you know, young adults who were interested in a lot of the same ideas that punk was for, like independent production and I don't know, just being sort of anti-establishment, but at the same time, they thought that the way the punks were going about it was sort of all wrong. Like they were, aggressive and snide, and they were more interested in, I don't know, just sort of being more earnest about their feelings. Like pretty much all of the songs were about having girlfriends or about like breaking up, or it's all about human interaction in a lot of ways, like intimate human interaction. And then there was they were sort of pejoratively called twee, which is it's a British term, and they reclaimed that term and turned it into their own thing and kind of just like celebrated it and embraced it. And so yeah, I became interested in a lot of DIY stuff and open source, and I think that a lot of that tends to be really masculine, or very like male oriented, and I don't know, I feel like we kind of needed something similar in a lot of ways to infuse some feminine qualities into it, or some softness or intimacy. um, yeah, so did Violet or May, did you guys have anything to add to that?
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay. Well, I mean, my main like sort of interest within twee isn't even necessarily the like visual aesthetic or in terms of the music, but more like the idea of tenderness and sort of like on one hand you have the aggression of like male dominated spaces and like discourses and the sort of like I don't know, like bravado of that or something that like I just personally don't really vibe with, and then at the same time I feel like there's also pressure on women to be to like be super like resilient and outspoken and like girl power, but like a girl power that looks like how men act basically, or like how men act, and I think there has to be another way to, I don't know, I don't think that my like liberation looks like being a man or being like this like aggressive sort of like, I don't know, that's sort of what twee represents for me at least. And like cyber twee, putting it in the context of the internet and the way that's changing our relationships with each other and like the way we present ourselves and social interaction in general. Sort of like embracing vulnerability and embracing emotional complexity.
Yeah, I think it's really important to us that we embrace the culture of being feminine, and that it's okay to do that while being feminist. And then Violet, what were you going to add to that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm sort of interested in I guess I'm going to call it segregation. Just because I went to this workshop that was for all women developers. And I guess I use the word segregation because it's like, why does it have to be all women developers? Why can't it? I mean, have you heard of an all male developer workshop? Like, it's so just off. So, and then I did a project in reaction to case modding. So, like, if you image Google search case body, and it's going to come up with computer cases that are all decked out very masculine, very like it's all going to be with blue LEDs or green. So, and if you say this to a lot of men, they'll say, well, women are more than welcome into this space. It's just that women don't want to be part of this kind of techie community. And that's fine. I totally agree with that. But it's like, why don't women want to be part of this techie community? Is it really just like an innate thing that women don't want to be hands-on with tech, or is it because that's the way we were raised, or is that really our choice? So it's just also in a way trying to respond to like all this Silicon Valley talk of women in Silicon Valley and how men feel about that, and all the stuff that me and Jess have been talking about like women in Silicon Valley in the Newsweek magazine and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of facets to it.
Yeah, the Newsweek cover of the woman with no eyeball. It was such a bizarre cover. The woman with no eyeballs.
She has no eyeballs? Dress.
Yeah, like it's like a reverse Hello Kitty. Like Hello Kitty has no mouth, but she has eyes. Well, this woman has a mouth, like a lipstick, sexy mouth, and no eyes. And like somehow we get the sense she's like looking down at this cursor that's like lifting up her skirt. It is really bizarre editorial illustration. Yeah, look it up. It was about a month ago, I think.
What was
this?
What was it about? What was the title? The headline for that?
I think it was called "What Silicon Valley Thinks of Women." I think it was this investigative report that was actually really really well done about just profiling women who are making really big strides in the tech world in California. But then they put this really bizarre illustration on the cover that kind of negated everything this article was trying to talk about in terms of women making it in that industry.
Which I totally think it was just probably for the publicity of it, to catch attention. And I mean, using the word Silicon Valley in any headline is going to garner a whole bunch of attention just because it's such a buzzword. But it's still important to talk about.
I guess getting back to the manifesto itself and just like the physicality of how the three of you sat down to write one and talk it out, it kind of, I don't know, the word that comes to mind is archaic, but like not in a bad way, like like the surrealists and just early 20th century. I mean, the practice still continues today, but just I feel like the act of writing a manifesto is not something that's done too much anymore. And I'm wondering why you all decided to make one for yourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we were all really inspired by a lot of different manifestos. And today I feel like microcultures tend to be really fleeting. So to sort of put something down as a solid idea, I mean, it's a very risky thing to do, but it's sort of a way to sort of, I don't know, like capture an essence of an attitude of a time, even though basically writing a manifesto calls for contradiction and for people to pick out every single line and sort of tear it apart. So basically manifestos are set up to fail in a lot of ways, but I feel like some of the most inspiring works for me, and I know also that May and Violet were reading similar ones. We were all reading Donna Haraway's A Manifesto for Cyborgs, and looking at VNS Matrix and the Bitch Mutant Manifesto, as well as the Cyber Feminist Manifesto, and those are all incredibly influential. Though a lot more also really aggressive in tone and almost overcompensating because they were really angry for good reason. So yeah, I think we kind of took a different tone though. May, Violet?
Well, Violet was the one who came up with the idea to do a manifesto, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to?
To be pretty blunt about it, I had to write a manifesto for our history class.
Really? But something great came out of it.
So trying to get my loan money to trying to use it as capital, get something going with it. But yeah. What do you think, May?
I don't know. Well, I'm just thinking about what I really like in it is, I mean, one, I like that it makes a really strong statement, and like Gabriella said, a manifesto, you are kind of setting yourself up for criticism, and you're setting yourself up for contradictions, and maybe that could be equated to failure. But I think it also is a really good way to start conversation, and it's a strong statement, and it brings attention to it, and it's pretty cool that actually it has gotten some attention, and that people online have started talking to us about it and are interested in it. And then also, I mean, what's been really important for me through all of this is the sort of collectivity of it, of the three of us coming together and collaborating and talking and thinking through a lot of these ideas out loud, and having our friendship be sort of this support system almost, or I don't know, I think it's helped me grow a lot, and sort of this element of sharing and pooling ideas, I think is really powerful. Especially, I don't know, I sometimes feel overwhelmed by how individualistic our culture is, and sort of every man for himself sort of mentality. And I think that there's a lot of strength in being a collective of people that are working together and want to see each other succeed and want to see each other grow.
Yeah, and it's great because we all have different strengths, and we all have different things to bring to the table as a group. So I don't know, I've felt really blessed to be working with two artists who I really admire, and they do really great work, and it's just wonderful for us to be able to sort of lean on each other and kind of illustrate our individual strengths,
and also criticize each other when it's needed, or kind of not criticize, scold, but just having a constant source of feedback about things, and I don't know if that works, or I don't know if that idea is really what we want to say. And I feel I don't know, it just makes everything a little more thoughtful, I guess, or thought through.
And I feel like we sort of have to trust one another in a lot of ways, and it's wonderful to have almost a critique group where we can get feedback, or sort of highlight different issues, or at the very least sort of think about things in a different way, and I mean, I feel like we sort of come to trust one another in a lot of ways, or at least I do, but.
Well, so you guys, on that note, I guess, you've been getting, I know Rhizome did a feature on May's work around Valentine's Day, and the press has been kind of building up and there's the South by Southwest collaboration with Molly Soda. How have the reactions been from the cybertwee community on Facebook in light of how things are kind of picking up?
I think the people in the group are pretty excited about it, or at least like there's at least the people that I sort of like am interacting with. It's like, yeah, like awesome, like you're on Rhizome. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I feel like it's been incredibly supportive. I don't know. Everyone in the group is just really great and supportive and wonderful. I think that we only had one guy who sort of sent us any criticism, and he just basically told us not to overlook hardness and the role of hardness, which I don't feel like we were, but I feel like we're addressing strength in a kind of a different way than through like hardness or whatever. Violet, do you have anything to add?
What do you think he meant by overlooking hardness?
What he meant by hardness? I don't know. He was just comparing it to Sophie's stuff, which I don't know. It's kind of weird, but Sophie's a PC music producer, which is like this like label thing. I'm not totally sure what he meant by hardness. I'd have to revisit the message he sent, which was pretty long.
Yeah, it was. I sort of was put off by. Can you mute your? Yeah, okay. I was just put off by the message, not even necessarily because like what he was saying was completely invalid and like how dare you criticize us, but more just like the fact that this guy took the time out of his day to like write this really long like message to us about how like he thinks it was like, here, I'm trying to help you, like let me suggest some stuff that'll like help you guys make your manifesto better, and it was like he didn't really get where we were coming from the start, and so it just felt like no, like I don't know, like
he was mansplaining.
Yeah.
It was just
I don't know, mansplaining can be kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of harsh, but it does feel kind of accurate, because he's like it was almost like he was patting us on the head in a lot of ways. Like I feel like he's like, oh, like you guys are trying so hard, but like you should really do it better. Like I don't know.
Like I would almost rather have someone just come at us with like a real like criticism, because I mean I think there's plenty of stuff that you can like pick apart or like criticize with the manifesto as well, and like I think that would be different if it was like, I really think that this is something that is like problematic, or whatever, but it was just like the tone of the whole thing I wasn't down.
It was kind of just like this unwelcome kind of gesture in some sense.
Yeah, it was. I think the fact that he was making suggestions for us was what, maybe that's what it was that put me off the most, rather than just saying like, I have a criticism and I want you to hear it. It was like, here's what you can do to do better, like, because I know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt it was kind of
weird. Like overthinking it.
I felt like it was weird that he was like critiquing, or sort of, I don't know, because just like men critiquing feminisms in general can feel weird to me. I don't know. So maybe that was kind of why it rubbed me the wrong ways. I don't know. Maybe that's not fair to say, but for me, it just seemed kind of like he couldn't understand where we were coming from. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But I know I've said this before. I like how he did say that we are related to Sophie and to PC music. I think that's really on point. I think that's really accurate. Because it just kind of starts putting in relation like artistic aesthetics or movements that are going back to what we said about making friends on Facebook, like going back to this like internet oriented way of life or thought process. I don't know.
Yeah, the part that I thought was cool about that was sort of how there are other kind of cultures that are rising up in the same vein as us around the same time, which I think is cool. I think there was definitely a sort of there was almost like a hole in the internet where this femininity was missing, and we were kind of trying to bridge that or patch it up, or I mean, it wasn't just us, and I think that's why it has resonated with so many people. This ideology is because it's something that was lacking in a lot of ways. So,
I guess going off of that, I know you had an event here in Chicago. Yeah, it was like right around the Rhizome feature in like mid-February.
It was the same day.
It was the same day?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome.
It timed out perfectly.
Nice. Mm-hmm. That's so I guess I hadn't thought about it up until now, but a lot of cybertwee is so linked to music, and like it feels like electronic dance music too. So what did that event I feel like that event may have been like a turning point for kind of bringing the Facebook group and this online world into the physical world in some sense. So how did the event go, and what was the turnout like, and do you think you're going to do any more events like that?
Yeah, it was really interesting, and it was really great to see the different people that came out. I think we got kind of a sense of the people here who were interested in the same ideas. Like we sort of got a sense of community, as well as I think some other people who happened to just be visiting the club at the same time, who I think were a little bit like they were a little mystified by what was going on. But yeah, I think generally the response was really positive, and I think we all had a really good time. It was great to celebrate the press we got that day. It was a really weird coincidence, and it was awesome. And then May, of course, had she had her lecture at SAIC the same day, so it was just all around. It was a very like I don't know. It was a really good day. It was a lot of fun. I'm not sure about the future of events. I'd like to do another one. But it felt kind of like a one-off sort of thing. But I would definitely be down to explore that more. What do you guys have to say?
In terms of future of events, I feel like I see potential for like us maybe bringing together some sort of like group show, or like something along those lines, like more specifically art inclined. Like, rather than putting it in like the club scene, because I think that event was really fun, and actually like I got to meet a lot of the people who I've been interacting with online that maybe go to SAIC or are just in Chicago, and talk to them face to face, which was cool. But yeah, I think I personally would be interested in maybe cybertwee like curating something and having like an event around that, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think cybertwee can manifest in a lot of different ways. It can manifest in like visual aesthetics, or like we were saying before, Sophie, like PC music. There's a tinge of cybertwee in that, and I guess it was a chance for cybertwee to manifest in like fashion, for people showing up dressed up in what they felt cybertwee was, and the DJs that were there, like Seablaze and Diode, they were pretty awesome. They were really great sets, so I'm really proud of them for that.
And Spaz Kid was there too.
Spaz Kid.
That was exciting. Spaz Kid was our secret guest.
So yeah.
Oh.
But yeah.
Wait, did I interrupt someone?
No. I accidentally I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to add. It was just cool. Yeah, I agree with May. I think it would be really, really great to have an arts event that's multimedia where we have we could have people. I would really like to have writing involved too. I really want to see what people have to say. You know, in a more structured way. So maybe I'd love to do a call for entries on the cybertwee site where we have people submitting essays or visual arts pieces, and then to have an event reflecting that would be ideal. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be really great. I might even submit some stuff if you if you guys were to do it. I guess I've kind of talked about everything that I was interested in. I guess I'm a little more curious too about how you guys manage the Facebook page, or if people, because I'm a member, but I've never actually posted anything. And I'm wondering if there are times when people come to you and are like, I want to be involved somehow, but I don't really know how to be involved, or I don't know what to post. What would you say to people trying to get more involved?
I would say just to share, whatever you feel is relevant. I think the things that are posted in the group are a really great way for us to sort of understand how other people interpret what we're doing, which I think is 50% of what it is. It's we are able to sort of write out what 50% of it is based on our perception, but it's going to evolve on its own. Obviously, when you're putting an ideology out there, everyone's going to take it a different way. So I'd encourage you to post to the group, and it's always going to be kind of weird when you're putting yourself out there because you never know how people are going to respond to it. But you're never going to find out unless you try. So yeah, I really encourage people to share stuff and things. And I feel like us as admins, we generally try to make an effort to acknowledge the things that people post in general, and yeah, I don't know, make people feel included.
Yeah, what's interesting is that the Facebook group is crowdsourced, so there's so many different ways people can interpret it, or already feel like their life involves cybertwee in some way and they just want to express it. Or what do you think, Bae?
Yeah, I think that the kind of what you just said, there's a lot of people who maybe this sort of ideology or mix of ideology and aesthetics already is sort of they're interested in it, but it doesn't have a name, or it's not a concrete thing. And cybertwee is kind of it kind of gives it a name and a place, because I do think that it's sort of I don't know, with trends and with sort of popular ideas in pop culture, there's always the pendulum that's swinging, and things come and go, and it seems like this is kind of coming at a time when it's the conditions are right. That's how it feels to me, and I feel like that's why it's picked up traction so quickly, is because people are yes, that's it puts a name on something. That's how I interpret it. And so I think for a lot of people, it's then from there they can interpret it how they want. And so a lot of the group is people posting pictures of fashion, or tech objects, or to what we're talking about. And then I think there is some stuff on there that, for me, I look at it and I'm like that's not quite what I like. I wouldn't like tag that as cybertwee myself, but again, that's like, you know, there is like some subjectivity in there, so.
Well, is there anything else you all want to talk about before we kind of wrap up?
Well, I wanted to ask you how you found out about cybertwee. Oh man, I just opened Keynote. Hang on. There you go. So.
Okay, so Violet was the one who introduced me to cybertwee just because she and I were working together at SAIC. I think going off of what May was talking about how it's really how the Facebook group especially is really this place for people to post this collection of kind of noticed things that they have really been able to give a name before. Kind of reminds me of like James Bridle's The New Aesthetic project that he was doing on Tumblr for so long, and I think he's still doing it. But just like a crowdsourced effort, so not just one person dictating, hey, this is a new aesthetic that I'm noticing, and this is what I think about it. It's just you guys are bringing so many more people into it and opening it up. But I think also what's really interesting to me about cybertwee is really how it outlines how cuteness and softness and vulnerability can be really empowering, not in a way, not in the ways that we think about those characteristics as being soft or undesirable, but as this kind of new turn that I think things have taken as we've gotten increasingly more connected to each other in terms of not just our devices, but how we interact with each other through them. With the mediating force of the screens we're looking at all the time, I feel like it's important to keep that kind of softness in mind. And also, so that's the first part. The second part is that my undergraduate research was a lot about, so I studied Japanese and cultural anthropology and art history. So my fieldwork was mostly in fan communities for the Japanese artist Yoshitomo Nanara, who does these mostly massive paintings. So it's just these really cute looking, but also really aggressive looking little girls. And I've always been really interested in that dynamic of how sweetness can be this mediating device for much, much deeper themes or ideologies going on beneath it. I don't know. And I guess on another level, there's just something about this aesthetic that is being cultivated through this group that is just really appealing to me personally. It's just something that kind of hits me, and I like it. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's so great. Yeah. I know we were really inspired by I don't know. At least I was really inspired by Perfume, the band Perfume.
Yeah.
And the video for Spring of Life is probably the most cybertwee thing that I can think of. I don't know. It's great, and yeah, I mean, I'm super interested in sort of Japan's really unique relationship with cuteness, and yeah, I think it's really, really interesting, and so that's really cool.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, I guess we'll leave it here for now.
Okay. Oh.
It was just really good talking to you guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Jess.
Yeah, of course. I will talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.